My husband Eric and I were heading home for the new year when we got into an accident. When I opened my eyes again, we had traveled back to before our relationship started. Last lifetime, we were married for 7 years, got along well, but he wasn't even willing to have a child with me. I later found out that he was never over his first love. After being reborn, I decided to let him go. We quietly deleted each other's contacts, kept our distance, and chose different paths. 7 years later, he became a top stock trader and made it official with his first love, Cora, at a class reunion. Seeing that I was still single, he couldn't help but tease me. "Sophia, I know I've been your greatest love in 2 lifetimes, but you shouldn't hang on to me." I didn't respond, just took my son's hand. Eric's face turned pale, and with red eyes he questioned, "Didn't you say you'd love me forever and only have children with me?" We met again at a class reunion 7 years later. I had just finished several surgeries and was too exhausted to dress up, so I walked straight into the hall. Eric was at the center of the crowd, arm around Cora, enjoying the compliments of others. "Eric, you're amazing. How long were you in New York on Wall Street? And now you're one of the most promising traders. The pride of our school. I heard even the big names they're paid to have dinner with you. And the consulting fees were tens of thousands. That's a whole year's salary for the rest of us." "Eric, I'm trading stocks myself. Can you give me some insider tips for old time's sake?" Someone curiously asked Eric, "Are you getting engaged to Cora?" Eric looked tenderly at Cora. "Yeah, we're getting engaged on December 20th. The crowd erupted in another wave of congratulations. An old classmate asked, "Do you still keep in touch with Sophia? You two had such a hot romance. I heard your first song was for her." Hearing my name, I noticed Eric's smile stiffen immediately. Standing next to him, Cora smiled politely and replied, "Oh, come on, Eric and I are getting married. Those youthful loves never last, and they didn't. He moved on from Sophia a long time ago." The crowd laughed and continued to gush over how perfect they were together. But I knew that song was the one Eric wrote when he confessed to me. In our past life, we had a school romance, love at first sight. He once looked at me earnestly and said, "Sophia, look into my eyes, I like you. Eyes don't lie." I believed him. Sadly, he lied in our last life. I walked into the hall calmly as classmates spotted me. "Sophia, why are you so late? And in casual clothes, couldn't you change into something formal? Didn't you just get off work? Our classmates are successful. Maybe they can hook you up with a job, so you can take it easy." Seeing my outfit, some made snide remarks. I didn't care, smiled, and kept a basic level of dignity. From the moment I entered, Eric had been watching me. I greeted politely, "Long time no see." Eric hesitated, his eyes darkening, then mocked, "Sophia, all these years, and you haven't changed. Still with no ambition." Cora looked at me venomously. She clung to Eric's arm, cooing like a statement of ownership. "Eric, don't be so mean to an old classmate. Even if she's down on her luck, we shouldn't hit her where it hurts. Sophia's been through enough." She looked me up and down, face full of mockery. "Sophia, what's with the outfit? It's neither here nor there. You're not getting any younger. Women should doll themselves up, or no man will want a sloppy woman. Need me to lend you some makeup?" The classmates giggled at her words. Cora was decked out in luxury brands, her makeup impeccable, her aura exuding the natural elegance of a rich girl. I, on the other hand, had just come out of surgery, hadn't slept in 24 hours and felt drained. I wore comfortable casual clothes with no brand, bought from a street shop, nothing compared to her. "No need, I'm good for now," I replied simply and sat down to eat, famished after the intense work. While savoring the food, Eric came over and placed a $10,000 check in front of me. "This money is for old time's sake. Take care of yourself, find a better job, get some new clothes, learn to love yourself. Sophia, the past is past. Don't dwell on it. If it wasn't for you, never mind. What's important is don't lose the spark in your life because of my leaving, all right?" I looked at Eric, puzzled. I was curious about what I had done in the past life that made him abandon me without hesitation. In the previous life, we went from school uniforms to wedding dresses. He had dreams of being a musician, while I wanted to study medicine, both costly in money and effort. One of us had to sacrifice. Out of love, I gave up med school to support us with a single income, so he could chase his dreams. He failed repeatedly, becoming discouraged and downhearted each time. I was like his always charged power bank. Every time I came home exhausted, I patiently comforted his moods. I thought he'd get my love, but when he wanted a new guitar and I said no, because we didn't have the money, he lost it and smashed his guitar. You know what? If I'd listened to Cora back then and gone with her to study in America, I wouldn't have to live this miserable life now. I really regret being with you. After that, he stopped playing the guitar, lost his dream, and because he said he really regretted being with me, I often cried late at night. But I made one last effort, holding him and whispering, "Eric, I want to have a baby with you." He pushed me away, his eyes full of disdain. "With our financial situation, can we have a kid? Plus, I already told you I hate kids. I don't want to have kids with you." Those words shattered my last bit of hope. During New Year's, a truck coming towards us ended our lives. At that moment, I wasn't scared, just relieved. Now that we've both been reborn, we've chosen to stay away from each other. There's no need to reminisce about the past. I quietly pushed the check back. "No, I don't take stuff from strangers, thanks." He frowned at me. "Sophia, am I a stranger? What do you mean?" I replied, "I can buy my own clothes. No matter my job. I find it respectable, nothing shameful. I don't feel like I'm giving up on myself. Keep the money for someone who needs it." He held the check, lips pressed tightly together, just standing there. Cora walked over to Eric, seeing the check in his hand, seemed to understand. Her eyes flashed with anger, but she tried to act gentle. "Sophia, you won't accept our kindness? Then how about something more practical? I just opened a nail salon on City Avenue. Head over, and I'll arrange for you to be an apprentice. The pay isn't much, around $6,000 a month, but you can learn skills. Even if you're desperate, you can open a nail shop. How about it? Interested? It should be more dignified than your current job." I calmly ate, declining their offer. "Thanks for the offer, but I'm happy with my job, and I'm not planning to change." Some classmates shouted out to me, "Sophia, why don't you know a good thing when you see it? Eric and Cora are just trying to help, giving you money and a job. Just take it." Yeah, being this broke and still worried about pride? Coming to a reunion like this just means you're here to get resources. Why pretend? Cora chimed in gently, "Guys, don't say that. Maybe Sophia really likes her current job." She turned to me, "Sophia, this is our goodwill, and it's for old time's sake that we're offering this job. Don't let pride make you miss this opportunity. I really don't understand the whole pushing money and jobs thing." "No thanks." Cora kept smiling sweetly, but her eyes were full of mockery and disdain. Eric tightened his grip on the check, sneering, "A complete mess. Even trying to help you is pointless. You'll just die poor." After this jab, several old classmates came over trying to force drinks on me. "Sophia, you look pretty pitiful right now. Drink a glass, and I'll send you $1,000. If you're really that pitiful, I'll add more cash." The men were eyeing me creepily, while everyone laughed and no one helped. I furrowed my brow, feeling like this reunion wasn't what I expected. If I weren't waiting for someone, I'd have left. I was about to call for security when Eric, standing nearby, suddenly squashed his cigarette and grabbed the arm of the guy bothering me. His look was cold and angry. "Behave." The guy yelped in pain, and Cora pulled Eric's sleeve. "Eric, what are you doing?" His expression remained icy, "Just doing the right thing. It's a reunion, not a place for your tantrums." He let go of the guy, who didn't dare retaliate but shot me a nasty glare. I couldn't help but look at Eric, surprised he'd help me. Cora was seething, but she smiled. I heard the young master and CEO of Starlight Enterprises are having a meeting upstairs. We might get lucky and see the richest man in City A. Everyone got excited. City A's richest guy, handsome and rich, and rumored to be in his 30s with a 5-year-old kid. Yet his wife has never been revealed. We might see his wife today. I have to post this on TikTok. Soon, bodyguards escorted a young master into the banquet hall, and everyone got excited. That's the little prince of City A for sure. Such a handsome kid. The guy who previously harassed me, although beaten, kept quiet and only acted crazy in front of me. Sophia, if it weren't for Cora, you'd never get to see City A's little prince. If I were you, I'd kneel down and thank her. Maybe you'd get a good job. Perhaps even marry someone like me, who earns $6,000 a month. Ridiculous. I ignored him, calmly watching the little prince's entrance. Everyone flocked over, taking photos and videos with their smartphones. Even Cora, usually so aloof, was all smiles, trying to cozy up to the little master. Little one, anything you want to eat? Auntie will pay. As she spoke, she reached out, wanting to pinch his cheek. No one expected what happened next. The little boy, surrounded by bodyguards, ignored the adults around him and walked straight over to me. His smile was sweet as he jumped into my arms. Mom, you finally came. The little guy, who usually had a cold expression, looked all pouty when he saw me. Why didn't you come home yesterday? I missed you so much. I hugged my son, who ran to me, and comforted him quietly. Mom was working. You remember Mom told you before she left that she'd be working? How about tomorrow we go out and play? Mommy's on break. My precious Henry nodded eagerly. Okay. Mommy's the best. The classmates around were stunned, staring at me in disbelief. Just as they were about to ask questions, a handsome man in a suit rushed down from the conference room upstairs. Wifey, the hotel manager told me you were at the reunion here. Why didn't you tell me you were off work? I could have driven over to pick you up. The hotel manager stood beside us, introducing the man to the astonished crowd. This is Ethan, the president of our Starlight Group and Mrs. Sophia's husband. If you all need anything during your meal, just let me know. We'll do our best to accommodate and ensure Mrs. Sophia's old classmates have a great experience. At this point, my classmates had varied expressions. Some were thrilled, while those who had been rude to me turned pale. A few female friends, unable to hold back, spoke up. Sophia, your husband is Ethan, the richest man in City A? Someone else chimed in. Do you even need to ask? Didn't you hear the hotel manager call her Mrs. Sophia? And the little guy calls her Mom. She's obviously Ethan's wife, hidden from public view. Wow, this is what real nobility is. Faced with their chatter, I simply smiled back. Ethan then glanced at my outfit, held me in his arms, and softly asked, Did you just get back from the hospital again? Once we're done, let's head home for a good rest. I nodded and said all right. Turning away, Ethan then gave a cold look to Cora, who was trying to chat with him, and fixed his eyes on Eric. With a bit of disdain, he said, You're my wife's ex, right? Thanks for not marrying her back then. Without you, I wouldn't have met such a wonderful wife. Eric didn't respond to Ethan's sarcasm. Instead, his expression was complicated as he looked at me, a hint of frustration in his eyes. He asked, Sophia, is this how you're getting back at me? How much did you pay these actors? I released my son and took Ethan's hand. This is my husband, Ethan. Eric's face shifted from disbelief to shock, then turned pale and lifeless. Once, I might have cared about every action of this man. But he wasn't wrong. The past is the past. Why dwell on it? I found a new love, have a child, work a dream job, and a happy marriage and family, something I didn't have in the past. Anyone can see I'm happier now. Cora organized this reunion, but once they found out who I really was, everyone's attitude shifted, from sucking up to Cora, to offering their affection and care to me. It took just a few minutes. To think Sophia actually ended up marrying the richest guy. Eric just tried to brush her off with a check. Now that seems ridiculous. Yeah, thinking the ex was doing bad. But she turned around and found a much better man. Cora was even gonna get her a job as a nail technician. I heard Sophia's a lead surgeon at the top hospital in City A. Doing really well. Sophia, your marriage is such a big deal. Why didn't you tell us old classmates? We'd have given you a big wedding gift. Looking at the classmates who initially ignored me now trying to get on friendly terms, I found it amusing, but I kept it polite and surface level. Still, I was quickly bored with the reunion. Soon Ethan and I left with our son. Just outside the Starlight Hotel, Eric caught up to me calling out Sophia. I instructed Ethan to wait with our son in the car. It was chilly being November and nighttime. Without a word, Ethan nodded, always respecting and trusting me. Eric's eyes were full of confusion and complexity. How did you end up with Ethan? There wasn't much to hide. Ethan's mom was admitted to our hospital due to heart issues, and I was her primary doctor. Due to her condition, Ethan and I frequently interacted, and we got to know each other. He appreciated my dedication to every patient and respected my high ambitions in my profession and academia. Ethan decisively pursued me. I witnessed his devotion to his mother, and my impression of him was favorable. The day Ethan formally confessed his feelings, I asked him several questions. "Do you want kids?" "Yes," he replied. "Though I could say something pretty now like respecting your wishes, I want to be honest. I want kids. My dream is a happy family of 3. Unmoved, I continued, "Would you stop me from continuing in medical research?" Ethan earnestly shook his head no. A person's true potential isn't fully in the family, but also in society in oneself. I'd support you in whatever you choose to do. Would you ever regret it? He smiled. Ethan never regret. From that day, I agreed to give him and myself a fresh start. Eventually, we naturally fell in love and married. The wedding was super low-key. Just got a certificate and invited a few close friends and relatives. Eric, sitting in front of me, got teary-eyed without realizing it after listening to my story. "Is that little boy really your kid? But didn't you say you only wanted to have kids with me? How could you have a child with another man?" His words left me speechless, and I had to use them to remind him. "Eric, the past is gone. Can we stop dwelling on it? Promises from a past life don't need to carry over to this one. You know? Back when we broke up, it was for the best that our past and current selves had no overlap, right? Plus, you regretted being with me then, and didn't want kids with me. I couldn't accept that kind of life." Eric angrily shouted. "I regretted it because you never supported me. You mailed those music publishers, telling them not to take my songs." I was utterly confused by this. "What are you talking about? I don't understand. I never sent those emails. I was working 3 jobs a day for your music dreams. I had no time for such nonsense. Didn't you feel how much I wanted you to succeed back then?" As I said this, it was like a bombshell for Eric, leaving him stunned, as if he'd been hit by a massive revelation. Covering his mouth in disbelief, he continued questioning me. "Then, why didn't you buy me a guitar when I asked?" I finally understood what that unfinished sentence Eric said during a class reunion meant. "Did you think we had money back then? When your dad got sick, we spent all our savings on the hospital. What did we have back then besides food money? Should we have stolen a guitar?" Eric was utterly devastated. He mumbled, "No way. Cora told me you sent those letters, so I never succeeded. She said you didn't want me to succeed. You feared I'd leave you if I did. If this is what happened in a past life, I'm disappointed and hurt. Right now, I feel completely hopeless about my past life's feelings. We've been together for so long, and with just a word from someone else, you dismissed all my efforts. Don't you find that laughable?" I sighed. "My husband and son are waiting for me. I'm leaving." Eric, anxious, called after me, "Sophia, do you still love me?" I firmly shook my head. The love from our past life was long gone. I love my husband and son more now. I don't understand why he would ask such a question. After all, he kept saying there's no need to dwell on past people and events. And I truly have let it go. Surprisingly, just a month later, Cora's father was exposed for tax evasion, using shoddy materials to build houses, faking data, and bribing local officials. It made the news headlines. I was really shocked when I found out. The once uptown girl, Cora, looked so fallen in front of the cameras. Not only were all her assets seized by the court, but she couldn't even return home. And her father, with all those charges, probably won't ever get out of prison. The ones really affected are the ordinary folks who spent a lifetime savings on homes, only to get stuck with these poorly built structures. When I heard this, I sighed. That's just too much. Doing business with no conscience. Ethan, feeling wrong, said, "Babe, don't take it out on me. I've got a conscience." I laughed. Ethan always insists on making the best value products. Every product, hotel, real estate under his name uses the best materials and goes for the lowest prices. That's why his business keeps growing and his reputation growing stronger. Respect your customers, and they'll naturally support you. But folks like Cora's father, cutting corners for profits, disregarding people's safety, are just heartless. Not long after, I got a call from an unlisted number. I hesitated a moment but picked it up. Eric's voice came through. "Did you see that news?" "Sophia, I'm the one who reported it. I frowned, not sure why he was telling me this. Well, thank you on behalf of the folks. Eric's voice sounded really weak. Sophia, I want to see you. Can I? I replied seriously, I've told you before I've moved on. You don't need to. My words got cut off by his coughing. Cough, cough. Eric gave a bitter laugh and continued. I went for a checkup a few days ago. It's late-stage lung cancer, Sophia. Could I see you one last time? Hearing this news was like something snapped in my mind. I stayed silent for a while before saying hoarsely, bring your medical records and come to my hospital. In the afternoon, Eric stepped into my office looking much thinner. He placed his medical report on my desk. I swiftly reviewed the report, frowning. You should get admitted as soon as possible and start treatment. With nothing urgent at hand, I stayed with him to complete his admission procedures. Once everything was settled, Eric, with teary eyes, hesitantly looked at me. Sophia, I knew you wouldn't just leave me hanging. You must still care about me, right? I know I misunderstood you before. It was all my fault. You treated me so well in our past life, and I treated you like that. I've realized now, I don't regret being with you. I realize my mistakes. Can you forgive me? Let's get back together. We could have our own child together, like you always wanted, right? I frowned, looking at him. Eric, I hope you understand. We were completely done the moment we resurrected and came back. I have a new family now with my own kid. I hope you stop saying such things. Eric shook his head in disbelief. You definitely still have feelings for me. Otherwise, why would you always be there for me? We've had so many years together. You can't just say it's over. You're just mad at me. Can you not be mad anymore? I've already admitted my mistake. I gave a cold smile and shook off his hand. Because of our years together, I came to take care of you when you were diagnosed with lung cancer. If my actions led to any misunderstanding, I'm truly sorry. Your parents can come and take care of you. Also, marrying you in my past life was something I deeply regretted. I don't love you anymore and don't want a child with you. Please don't dwell in the past. It's a past I don't want to revisit. After saying that, Eric stood frozen, his face full of pain. But I didn't care. I turned and left. Eric shouted behind me. All men are the same. Do you really think Ethan is truly into you? Why would the richest man in City A look at someone ordinary like you? Wake up. You can't be happy with him. I'm the right one for you. Hearing his annoying words made me walk even faster. He hadn't changed at all from the past life. When things go well, he looks down on others. When things go bad, he envies those doing better, and even tries to drag them down. He's the kind of person who's never satisfied or content. Many think marrying Ethan was reaching high, but to me we're equals in this love. Eric thinks I'm just an ordinary doctor. He doesn't know about my groundbreaking research and achievements in medicine. But Ethan does. He wants to know more about me. He once gently held me and said in my ear, Honey, your report saves lives. No amount of money can do that. You're the real superhero. Because of Ethan, I realize love isn't just one person taking and the other giving. It's two people striving for their dreams together, supporting each other along the way. Now, a few words from Eric won't make me doubt our love. Eric seemed not to have given up. One day, he showed up in my office with a guitar, playing the song he sang when he first confessed to me. Look into each other's eyes, the eyes don't lie. The familiar melody played, but I felt nothing but deep annoyance. This song was irony, considering how he lied to me every day after we got married. I sternly told him to leave. He came over and grabbed my hand. Sophia, I really regret it. I don't want to break up with you. It's all my fault for not cherishing you. Please forgive me. I looked at him coldly. Didn't I make myself clear last time? Being with you is my greatest regret. Do you know what I'm most grateful for? A look of hope flashed in his eyes, quickly extinguished by my next words. That we never had a child together. It was the only blessing from above. Please stop disturbing me. Eric's parents arrived just in time and took him back to his room. They apologized sincerely. Sorry, Sophia. Our son is sick right now and has done things affecting you. But is there really no chance for you too? Looking at my former in-laws, who treated me well in the past, I spoke seriously. Auntie, uncle, I'm married now and have a husband and son. Even if I weren't, I wouldn't be with Eric, because I genuinely don't love him anymore. I hope he accepts treatment positively and stops bothering me." The two elders nodded, full of apologies. Soon, Eric was transferred to another hospital and never contacted me again. I next heard about Eric through a call from his mom. "Sophia, Eric isn't doing well. He wants to see you. Can you come?" I was silent for a long time. Finally, with a hoarse voice, I replied, "Okay." I hung up the phone. In that moment, I wanted to remember all the little moments from our past love, but I couldn't recall anything clearly. Time truly can erase everything. When I saw Eric again, he was a shadow of his former self. His prominent cheekbones and hollow eyes were unrecognizable. He stared lifelessly out the window until I entered the room, bringing a sudden light to his eyes. Looking at his body, he chuckled self-mockingly. "Sophia, I must look terrible now, right?" I didn't answer. He continued, "I'm sorry. I was too insecure before. I pursued my music dreams, but only met failure. I couldn't face it and blamed you. I guess this is my retribution. Sophia, if we could start over, if I did things right this time, would you choose me?" Seeing his bright eyes and hopeful gaze, I cut off his fantasy. No, life doesn't offer many second chances. And besides, Eric, you would never change. You would never be content. Someone who is never content will never find happiness, no matter how many times life restarts. Eric looked at me with tears of regret. "Is there really no chance?" I truly realize my mistake now. I firmly gave him a negative answer. There is no chance. After leaving, I never visited him again. After all, I cherish what I have now. Regarding my research, there's an opportunity for international exchange. The director recommended me directly. When I arrived in the US, I found Ethan and our child waiting for me at the airport. He walked toward me slowly, holding flowers, and I was all smiles of surprise. Ethan hugged me tight. "Surprised? Your husband and our baby are here with you while you're out studying. Happy?" I nodded. "Really happy, really surprised." During my time at the exchange program, we visited a lot of places in the US. We made some beautiful memories. During the trip, I found out that Eric passed away, which left me feeling a bit down. But then right away, I saw the two loves of my life, my husband and baby, running towards me. I opened my arms wide and embraced my future. The end.